Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of February 26th to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. Okay, fire evacuation. Fire evacuation exits are behind us, actually directly opposite our seating here, and out to my left, and then down the stairways on the left, or you can go all the way to the center if you have to, and go out through the front entrance. Okay, could we have roll call, please?
Ken Helinski,
Here.
Christian D'Antonio,
Here.
Linda DeGrace here, Frank Alimo's absent, Joe Muley,
Here.
Terrence Lynch is absent, John Petronella is absent, Walter Gazelle,
Here.
Rob Anderson,
Here.
Laura Anderson,
Here.
Okay, tonight I'm going to appoint all three alternates as regular members, Rob Anderson, Walter Cruzell, and Laura Anderson. All right, can we go on to approval of minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, all in favor?
okay.
Okay, minutes are passed. Okay, town attorney report, any? I didn't see any. No. Yeah, I didn't see any.
Not yet.
Okay. Zoning enforcement officers report?
No,
None
sorry.
there. Okay, public participation. I'm going to announce it anyway, but nobody from the public is here, but we'll just say, does anybody have any comments tonight on any item that is not on our agenda? Any comments tonight from the public? Any comments tonight from the public? Hearing none, we'll move on. Bond releases, I don't think there are any. Continued public hearings, there are no continued public hearings. And now, new public hearings, PH 3142, MA?
Mr. Chairman, may I just make a statement, please?
Yes, go ahead.
The state statute requires that text and map amendments be filed with the town clerk at least 10 days before the public hearing. Today, as I was going through to make sure everything had been done, I realized that that had not been completed. So due to a misunderstanding, it just somehow it didn't get done. Probably had something to do with Georgie leaving. And me having to do a lot more work. So anyway, so the solution here, and I've discussed this with the applicant and his consultant, staff will file these tomorrow with the town clerk, and we would just request that you hear everything tonight, keep the public hearings open, and then you could take action at the next meeting. And that should be, they seem to be okay with that. I'm sure they're not thrilled, but they're being nice about it. So, and that way we can make sure that the intent of the statute is kept. So basically, hear everything, ask your questions, and then please just close the public hearing, or don't close the public hearing, keep them open until next meeting, and then you could just take action, unless you have more information that you needed. Okay? Thank you for that.
Okay.
One thing, to the chairman, through the chairman to the staff, can I read all three of these at once as opposed to just, I mean, it's the same applicant, it's the same property.
You can do that, but you need to take action on them separately.
Right, and we could do them separately? That was my question.
Yeah. Yeah, but then when you do
Right.
that, you're just going to continue that.
Be better off just reading one.
It's safer to read them
the
separate.
next one.
Okay, all right.
I'd
No.
prefer we do one and
All
then
right,
the
we'll
next.
do it that way.
I think it's safer that way. I mean, I understand why she wants to
Seem
do
better.
that, but
Organized, I think.
Okay,
Okay.
Your,
you don't
your,
mind.
probably
your
makes
call.
it easier for
Thank you.
recording, too.
Okay, the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearing at their regular meeting on Thursday, February 26, 2026, at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall Council Chambers at 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application, PH 3142 MA, 242 Brainerd Road, application for zoning change from MFHD to R44, Marino, did I say it right?
Manarino.
Manarino, okay. Builders, Inc., applicant owner, map 62, lot 319, MFHD zone.
Okay, gentlemen,
Okay.
please proceed.
Thank you. For the record, Dana Steele, professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates. Rob Manarino from Manarino Builders. He's the applicant and developer for this project, Stonebridge Commons. We were here informally to discuss options for Mr. Manarino to convert this project from a non-age restricted development, which was approved under your MFHD regulation, to an age-restricted development under your senior residential development regulation. And so in part of that discussion, we determined that there were three components to this request. The first is a zone change to change the zone from MFHD back to its previous zone, which was R44. And second, to make some minor text amendments to the SRD regulation that would be consistent with the dimensional requirements of the multifamily housing district zone. And then third, the approval of the special permit for the development as an SRD. So I believe we're going to start first with the zone change application. So that's what I have up on the screen here is the zone change map. And this is a roughly 21-acre parcel located on the corner of Brainerd Road and George Washington Road, the southeast corner of that intersection. It's an L-shaped parcel, and this property, as I mentioned, was previously zoned R44. It was approved for an SRD development, 42 units. And subsequently, the prior owner came back to you, asked to change it to the non-age restricted MFHD, which required a zone change from the R44 to the MFHD zone. So both the zones are residential zones, so we're not really changing the nature of this property. Since it was R44 before, it seems to be a pretty straightforward change. So that's really all I have to say about the zone change. Does anybody have any, since we're not going to be closing this hearing, I'll just ask if you have any questions about the zone change or any feedback you want to offer to us at this time.
Lori, do you have anything to say on this?
Dana pretty much summed it up pretty well. The impacts to rezoning back to 44 should be minimal to none, as all of the metrics, traffic, environmental, public services, and property values will remain the same. So it's actually going back to what it was. So
Okay.
I don't see any issues.
Anyone have any questions for the,
I make a motion to table
just
PH.
a second.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody from the public want to make any
Oh, yeah.
comments? Anybody from the public?
There is nobody in the room, in the
Nobody
public.
in the room. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, go ahead.
Make a motion to table PH 3142 MA.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Do you want a roll call?
Yeah, do a roll call.
Ken Helisky,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
4.
Linda DeGrace, 4, Joe Muley,
4.
Walter Cruzell,
4.
Rob Anderson,
4.
Laura Anderson.
4.
Okay, so it's tabled. Okay,
Next.
next.
D.
Do I have to read that whole thing again? Yes. The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at their regular meeting on Thursday, February 26, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application, PH 3143ZA. Application for a text amendment to modify senior residential development regulations under Section 4.40.4 of the Enfield, Connecticut zoning regulation, Manarino, got it right, Builders, Inc., applicant.
Okay,
Okay, gentlemen, go ahead.
thank you. This is an application for a text amendment to Section 4.40.1 of your regulations, which is your senior residential regulations. The reason for these changes is so that we don't have to revise the development that was already approved by you under MFHD, which has different separation distances between the buildings. So in the MFHD, only 20 feet is required between the buildings, and in the senior residential, 30 feet is required. When we discussed this with staff, what's the reason for the difference? There wasn't a clear understanding of the difference. It was, I believe, just a matter of two regulations that were developed at different times with different needs, and so there wasn't really a compelling reason for a particular setback that was driving that. So we had, I think, support from the commission conceptually and from staff that it made sense to bring them into conformance with each other. So the first change is to Section 441G, so that the minimum distance between dwelling units will be 20 feet, not 30 feet. That requirement is also listed in Section 441L2, which says that they shall be no closer than 20 feet to other residential buildings, 30 feet to other residential buildings. So we would change that to 20 as well. So it's really the same requirement, just listed in two different places in the regulation. And then the other changes regarding the side yard setback. In the SRD, the setback for units is 50 feet from all property lines, regardless whether it's front, side, or rear. But in the MFHD, the side yard's only 35 feet instead of 50. So some of our units are a little larger than the ones that we had proposed originally with the SRD. And so before, the 50 feet wasn't a problem. Now it was an issue with this current development. So again, in order to be consistent with the MFHD, Section 441L4 would be revised to say no closer than 50 feet to, and crossing out an exterior lot line, meaning all lot lines, and say to the front and side, to the front and rear property lines, and no closer than 35 feet to the side property line. So that change those changes will allow us to proceed with this SRD application with the plans as they're currently under construction without having to make changes. So does that make sense? You want to add?
I just wanted to add, it only affected a couple units in Phase 2, really, I believe. Maybe you can show that on another map.
Sure.
It wasn't all 42 units, it just affected
okay.
a couple
Yeah, let's see.
after the temporary cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so here's Phase 1 with the temporary cul-de-sac, and these units still have 50 feet to this property line. But coming down here, see this unit on the side here? That line there is the 35-foot setback line. So if it was 50, you see it'd be encroaching into that unit. So there's a couple of units on
It's like 3 units along that area there.
along this area that are affected by that. There might be one on the
opposite side?
on the opposite side too. Yeah, see this one here?
Okay.
On would be the east side of the property. This is the Connecticut Water Company property. It's a 50-foot setback would be encroaching into that area as well. Previously, what we had is we had a different shape unit that was more wide and narrow, and these units are all narrow and deep. So that's by doing this, we can continue with that concept, not have to come up with a custom style that just to fit a unique space. So, and since it's consistent with other residential zones you have that are essentially the same other than not being age restricted, it didn't seem to be a compelling reason to have different setbacks when that's really the only significant distinction. So, yeah, so that's it for those text amendments. You have any questions about that? Any comments that
Let
you'd
me
like
just get the staff comments first.
Okay.
Again, Dana summarized that quite well. For all intents and purposes, these two developments, these two types of developments, were almost identical already. They're both multifamily with single-family detached dwelling units. So really, when it comes down to it, the only thing that's changing in reality is just the age restriction. I don't think that any of the changes are substantial or are going to be negatively affecting anything.
Okay. Does anyone on the commission have any questions? Laura?
Yeah. Just for my edification, and honestly, this is research I could have done myself, so thank you for your indulgence. When we have when we have dwellings closer together, particularly for our senior community, I mean, in other developments that you've made, have you seen any safety implications? Like, I know when things are closer together, there's less space. That's like particularly challenging if I need to move around more, need more space for mobility, et cetera. I just want to make sure if we're moving this to 55 plus that's been considered.
If I can answer that, it's okay. I know in other towns where I've done 55 and below, particularly South Windsor, the separation distance is 20 feet, not only for their SRD. I don't know, can you hear me okay? Yeah. But also, they have other density type zoning for single-family homes that is not SRD, and it's the same separation distance. As far as fire code goes, you really need to be 8 feet apart. But we have seen no issues with grading, or to answer your question. So it's worked out well.
Wonderful. And then through you to the staff, Mr. Chairman, just this might sound a little nutty, but again, I work for the state, so that's my issue. If we decided we wanted to possibly like carve out an exception for these units but not change the overall zone regulations, is that something that's possible?
I do believe that is possible. It's a special permit, so you do have some ability to modify it.
Okay, thank you. Not having a position one way or the other, just curious. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Chris?
Just a quick comment in that, I mean, I think it tidies up our regulations a bit. I mean, it seems like a positive, so I feel like you just brought the inconsistency to the forefront, and it makes sense to me that just they're not proposing anything far from radical. They're proposing tidying it up, and so, I mean, I think it's support that for that reason, if nothing else.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what are the distances on the Taylor Road property that
Those
you
are
are?
30 feet.
Those are 30 feet, okay. I didn't know, I just curious.
Well, yeah, they have 30
Yeah,
feet.
okay. All right, anyone else? Okay, there's no one here from the public, so we don't need to
Make a
ask anyone to come up.
I'd like to make a motion to table PH 3143ZA.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ken Helinski,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
Or
Linda DeGrace, 4, Joe Muley,
4.
Walter Griselle,
4.
Rob Anderson,
4.
Laura Anderson.
4.
Okay.
Okay, we can move on to the next one.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearing at the regular meeting on Thursday, February 26, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application, PH 3144, 242 Brainerd Road. Application is for a site plan special permit modification for a large flexible multifamily housing to senior residential housing development, Manorino Builders, applicant owner, map 62, lot 319, MFHD zone.
All set?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Again, good evening. Dana Steele from J.R. Russo. This application for special permits for a senior residential development, 21-acre parcel on the corner of Brainerd Road and George Washington Road. The project has a loop road system with two curb cuts on Brainerd Road and a short cul-de-sac to the west of the western entrance. But this project will be divided into two phases. The rephasing of this project was something that you approved as part of a site plan approval process recently for Mr. Manarino. And so there's a temporary cul-de-sac here as these first units, how many are there? 18? 17 units, and then the first phase. As these are being built, a temporary cul-de-sac allows for emergency services, fire to access the site and turn around until the through road can be constructed. So that was reviewed by the fire department, and they concurred with that. So nothing's changed from that previous plan, but this. The SRD does require some dedicated open space, and so we're dedicating this area in the back with a conservation easement that will provide some passive recreation and conservation of wooded areas. So there is a stormwater basin being constructed in a portion of it, but there are wooded areas mostly to the east here that will be preserved, and a wetland area to the west here that is also being preserved and protected. So, so this plan, the site is, the storm drainage for this site goes in two locations. This phase 2 drains down to the stormwater basin in the back, and the area up at the intersection, the front, the western portion, drains to a subsurface chamber system, which has already been constructed, and it's in place now. There's a berm installed along the road frontage to provide some privacy screening for those units. That berm is also in place already. There's a few units. This first one coming in on the right as you come in is been constructed. This one here in the corner has been constructed, and also a third one here. And you've got 3 more in the works, right?
We have three permits that we've pulled
Yeah. So they're
recently.
so they're moving forward on those 17. 3 nearing completion, 3 looking to get started, and so they've been moving forward under the MFHD approval. And so with this SRD, it's the same houses, the same road layout, the same drainage. Nothing's changing. Landscaping is the same. Features are the same. We are installing sidewalks along the entire frontage of Brainerd Road and George Washington Road. There's an existing walking trail along this southern boundary of the property that the sidewalk will connect to, and we have a walking. We're going to extend that walking trail through the development with a crosswalk here, so that you have a big loop that can be walked through. So it'll be a nice pathway for more active recreation, walking for the residents of this development. The regulations, or I guess it's more the postmaster is not allowing individual mailboxes for these developments. Unfortunately, we'd prefer to just have a mailbox at each unit, but they're getting away from that. So they want a central mailbox location. So we proposed one near the cul-de-sac here. We thought that was a good spot for it because it provides some queuing space for vehicles that want to come and pick up their mail here. There's some more separation between the units, so it's not like right in front of somebody's house where that would be obtrusive. And so this was the location that we selected for that. There's as you can see the kind of see. I'll zoom in so you can see a little easier. We've bumped out the cul-de-sac a little bit here so that cars can actually pull in and cars can still go around. But even if there's multiple cars backing up and they're queuing up around the corner here, there's still room for cars to get by. So it's going to be a safe and efficient way for the residents to check their mail, and so that is the location. There was some discussion with staff about trash removal. Rob had mentioned at the Shaker Heights project off of Taylor Road, they worked something out with DPW for the town to pick up the trash. So that might be something that we explore too with DPW, but we understand from staff it's really not your purview to decide who picks up the trash. So we just wanted you to be aware that that's something that we're looking into. The project, one of the things that we're adding to the plan that was not on the previous plan, so this approval is different. I think it's really the only thing that's different is we're adding two signs for the project, Stonebrook Commons, and so one is going to be at this location across from Debbie Lane at the western entrance, at a 45-degree angle, so that it's visible as you're coming in, and the other one just mirroring that, flanking it on the east side of the eastern entrance off of Brainerd Road. I do have a picture that we submitted with the application. This is a project you did in South Windsor, Rob. So this project was called Clark Estates. So Rob's thinking it'd be something like this, except being stone bridge, he thought it should be stone and not brick, which kind of makes sense. So that's the only thing. This was just showing to kind of give you an idea of the scale of these signs. So that the actual sign part is just this black sign with the gold lettering. So that would be the area, and so it's about 6 square feet. Your regulations allow 24 square feet, so with the two signs, that's 12. We're half of the requirement. One question that came up was whether or not we're allowed to have two signs, but we pointed out in our application that technically this project has 2 phases, so we really have we have 2 entrances, and I think that this is something that you've allowed in the past. I know I worked on the SRD project across from the police station on Elm Street, and that one has 2 entrances on Elm Street, and it has 2 signs. Very, very similar situation. I believe in staff's report they had mentioned that there was some room for interpretation as to how that would be, how you look at that. So we feel that splitting the area up between 2 locations is going to provide better safety, makes sense. Just to have a sign at one entrance seems confusing and potentially more problematic than the 2 signs. And the fact that the signs are small in regard to your maximum regulations, I don't think we're exceeding that. But wanted to show that to you and point that out. Rob?
One point about the signage. Are we including the stone wall as the sign?
No.
Or are we including the placard as the sign?
Just the placard.
Is that correct, Lori?
That's my interpretation of
fine.
your submittal.
Then we meet the square footage. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to have a problem at the staff level with that. All right.
Yep. Yeah, I think the regulations are pretty clear about that. A sign can have a frame around it, and certain, like you see some of these signs, say Brookside Plaza, right? It's got a tenant sign with multiple signs on it, and there's a whole frame around it.
Yeah.
But it's the actual rectangles where the information is located. That's the sign area. So the rest is just aesthetic dressing, to make it look more attractive. So there'll be some landscaping around it, like this one, to dress it up, and so that's something that was not on the previous approval, but is something that we're asking for you to approve as part of the special permit application. Staff had mentioned in their report, which you'll get to, I'm sure, in a moment, about detached garages. We are not proposing any detached garages. We want to just clarify that. The development's really too dense to have any room for a detached garages anyway, so these will be attached. One thing that has come up, your regulations don't really speak to it, so we just want to make sure that it's okay. Rob has had some potential buyers have asked about a 3-car garage, adding a third bay to the unit, and so we've had some discussions with staff, and so if there's any concerns about that, we'd like to hear it. We think that your regulations say there has to be at least 2 parking spaces, and one of them has to be in a garage. We're providing 2, but if we have probably 3, that's more than meeting regulations. I don't see that would be an issue, but if you have any concerns, we would like to know. I'm sure staff would like to know what your thoughts is on it. You want to add to that,
Yeah,
Rob?
just one point. There's only about 4 to 6 footprints, we'll call them footprints, that would allow to have that third bay.
Yeah, there's not many spaces where there's enough room.
Right.
Some of these have some extra space because there's
So it is
areas
limited.
around it where
It is
you
limited.
could put in, some of these when they're close together, there's just not
And we do have a drawing.
room for it.
For it, and I'm keeping it limited. I'm letting the customers know that if this is allowed, this is it. No waiver from it. I don't know if you have that, or should I show it over here,
I do have it.
since we brought it up? If we can decide on it here tonight, whether it's a good, whether it's a yes or a no, that will also help staff to be able to make a decision on it if we bring something in.
Yeah, so just zooming in here. So you can see here's a front elevation of what a third garage bay would look like. This dark coloring here is probably not representative. It's probably just something with the printer, how it printed it out. But this would be
And it would be setback.
this would be siding. I think
Like
that's what
water-
it's showing. It's showing that it's recessed a
It's
little bit.
recessed 1 to 2 feet.
Yeah, so here's a plan view of it.
there
You
we
can
go.
see it's
There
kind
we
of notched in there a little bit and allows for a third bay. So that is something that we are proposing, would be part of this approval if you're agreeable to that. I don't think your regulations prohibit it, but if you have any concerns, let us know. So I think that's all. I mean, there's a lot more details about this development that I could go into, but because this has already been approved multiple times, I don't want to belabor the point. I mean, this is really, we've highlighted the things that have changed, adding the 2 signs, a third garage bay, potentially, maybe not, but potentially in a few locations, and.
One other thing we did, the original multifamily development had 2 plans they showed you, a cape and a ranch. It was very limited,
Yeah,
and it was approved. When I came in for the phasing, we showed you these plans. We do have some live pictures of it also, which they really look nice. So we had 2-story units in the multifamily. We're not asking for a 2-story unit here, but we do have a loft option. I want to make it part of the whole package, so again, staff doesn't have to say, well, this wasn't part of the approval. We want to make that option to have a loft, a rec room up top. Something that's popular is, we don't have walkout basements in this development. In one section we do, so people want to have that extra space.
Phase
And
2.
maybe a rec room or what have you. So the loft was a good option, not to be down in a dungeon in the basement. So we do have something on here with an option for a loft. It doesn't make the footprint any bigger, nothing changes. It's just utilizing.
that's this one
That
here?
space right
The
there,
second
yes.
floor plan, yeah, so that's part of this as well, just showing that there could be this loft area. Most of this is just pitched roof and
Right.
attic space, but this central area here, this rectangle, would be an upstairs
Why one client
bonus
wants,
room.
one client that wants to do that, but they want a half bath. Because, hey, we won't have to go up and down if it's our TV room or what have you, or
Yeah.
they watch TV in different rooms. Anyway, it's another option for 55 and older.
Yeah.
It's a great community. It's going to bring in great revenue for the town with no services. The taxes are anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000 a unit. So we should allow them to have, it's not to say have what they want, but give them some options.
So I guess the last thing I want to just mention is when we were first talking with staff about coming in with the individual house plans for each of these as they got built, staff suggested that we come up with a plan that shows like larger than necessary footprints so that the actual units would fit within those footprints. And that's what we have here. These, notice these units are these big rectangles. You don't generally build a nice home that's just a plain rectangle, right? And so notice the one next to it here at 40, what is that, 43? At 43, see all the little jogs and nooks in it? That fits within this rectangle, but the actual ones are gonna be smaller than what's shown here. But we just want to kind of show that, what could fit there. And the largest unit that we have in terms of roof area is about 2,900 square feet. So we talked with staff about saying, well,
That
let's say.
includes the garage.
Yeah, including the garage, 2,900 square foot roof area, and regardless of whether there's 2 stories or whatever, but just the roof area. And, which relates to your zoning requirements for building coverage. So you have a maximum building coverage, I think it's 20%? I believe it's 20,
I thought it was 30.
30 impervious.
30
and
impervious,
20
okay.
20 building
Oh,
coverage.
okay.
So, so we're well under the 20%. So I think staff had mentioned in the report that there would be a maximum of 3,000 square feet. Well, right now, 2,900, yeah, and everything would be under 3. But Rob is wondering, what happens if I have a buyer who wants to put a little bump out or add a little more, and there's room to do it to meet all the setbacks, and we have like one unit that's 3,100 square feet? Is that a problem? We felt that the intent is, as long as the total sum of all the roof areas isn't more than what we're proposing. And I had, in an email to staff, I had calculated out what the total square footage of them was. It was, I think, 124,375 square feet of all 42 units divided, which works out to about 2,900 square feet per unit. It's probably going to be even less than that, even if we have some units that are over 3,000. But just wanted to also get the commission's feedback, I think, for our sake in dealing with staff, so that they understand that you're okay with that.
Can I add to that also?
Yeah.
We have 2 popular models. One's called the Stonegate and one's called the Aspen. The Aspen is 2,470 square feet, but if you add the sunroom, which is 200 square feet, it goes to 2,670. And then the Stonegate with the sunroom is 2,870 square feet, almost 2,900 square feet. But if they don't go with the sunroom, it's around 2,600 square feet. So we have a lot of capacity to be flexible to meet our clients' needs. And we would just rather to be a little flexible, and at the staff level, them to be able to make a decision. We certainly can keep track, because when Dana does a plot plan, he submits the square footage of the footprint. So we can just put that on a chart and say, okay, we haven't gotten to 124,375 square feet yet. We have some room. And it's up to me not to pigeonhole myself that I can't build the last house because I used up all the square footage, and that would be a wild scenario. But we're asking for that flexibility from the commission to be sure that the staff has that flexibility to make that decision.
Yeah, did they feel authorized by you to be able to provide us with that flexibility?
Is that something, Laura, that would be okay, a chart or something? Do you think that would work for you and Rick?
I was going to suggest that anyway, that
Okay.
you show us as you go
As we
along
go
with your
along.
building
That
permits,
would be
put
easy
it in
to
a
do.
list.
Running total?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Now, technically, with a 20% coverage, I mean, we could even have bigger units, but I think that what staff is saying is that if we come in with a site plan that shows a certain size unit, and then we start coming in with something much bigger, then you say, wait a minute, that's not what P&Z approved. So they want to make sure that there's some integrity with that the plans that we're submitting to you are what you're ultimately getting. So I think that's we're just trying to be transparent with you and upfront about what the plans are showing. You understand that these boxes are actually bigger than what's going to be built, but the intent is to kind of show a maximum potential. And we're comfortable with that. The other issue is related to storm drainage. So as you may or may not be aware, what roof coverage and road, any impervious surface is what drives runoff from a site. So the more roofs you have, the more runoff you have. So our site is designed for a certain amount, which is the other reason why we don't want to exceed it, because then we have to reevaluate the storm drainage. So we don't want to get into that situation. But if have one unit that's a little smaller and another one that's a little bigger and it's working out, then from a storm drainage standpoint, it's the same. The water doesn't care where it's draining from. When you're talking about a fairly condensed area like this. That's a little bit of an oversimplification of stormwater design, but just wanted to explain that. So I think that's why staff mentioned it under the drainage discussion. So we feel that's a good approach. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else, Rob, that you wanted to mention?
I mean, I would love to get a consensus on the footprints this evening, if it's possible, and then also get a consensus on the third-car garage, what your thoughts might be on that. And again, it's not more than 4 to 6 units. So just wondering what your thoughts are on it.
Okay, Lori, do you have any comments?
I do have a couple comments. I don't want to reiterate anything I've said in previous applications here. So just looking at drainage, again, overall, the final impervious and building coverage will not change or not exceed the impervious and the building coverage requirements. And they're going to make sure that that happens with the running total. Traffic, they did have an updated traffic report, which actually indicated that since this was first reviewed and approved, traffic actually has gone down. So that's a nice thing. We don't usually hear that. Impact analysis, as there was no concern before, we have no concerns now. It's essentially the same development. And this there has been 2 phases, as they've discussed earlier, via SPR 1953. The signage, so I'm not sure how this is the regulation, not my opinion. The regulation per 10.30.4A says that you may have one identification sign per development. They're looking for 2. Do I think that that's fair? Yes, I do. That's not what it says. So I'm wondering if maybe we could, and I'll look into this just from a legal basis. Can you have the authority to modify that for this development? Because it's special use permit. So there's that. We talked about the 3 garages. Just make sure. I'm glad you did the central mailbox. And again, I don't know whether the post office is going to require that or not, but
I met with them and I filed a waiver amendment and I got denied.
shocker.
Trying to have, and even, we're doing a subdivision in Ellington eventually, and it's a regular, single-family subdivision with a 1,000-foot road, and we're gonna have to have a centralized mailbox somewhere on the road for those 15 residents, and residents are not happy about it.
They're doing it to apartment
Yeah,
complexes.
they're doing it all over the place
Even
now.
old ones, they're putting centrals.
People are not happy about it.
No.
I think the post office is having a hard time meeting budget, and so they're looking for ways to cut costs, and this is what they
Yeah.
come up with.
Time saver.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
anything else, Lori? Or
The discussion of the footprints and the bump outs and the roofing and all that, I'm not sure if anybody's going to really notice the difference between 2,900 and 3,100. It adds character to the area. I'm not allowed to use character anymore, never mind. It adds diversity of the way things look in a community. And personally, I like to go into a development like this and not see everything cookie cutter exactly the same. I think it just makes it look boring. So that's my 2 cents. I will look into the signage, and what was the other thing I needed to look into? Oh, the setback, the side yard setback, if we can actually waive or modify it just for this application for X number of units, whatever the units are that you have that you think you might have less, were you having the issue with the
Would that be
50?
a variance?
I'm not, that's why I'm thinking, I want to check the statutes and the legality of it, because with the special use permit, they do have a lot of leeway, but that may not be it. So I wanted to just double check that.
But when you're checking on the sign, can you also check on the question of whether a project with two phases can be interpreted as two projects?
I think I know the answer to that.
I'm thinking a little creativity, but I think
Yeah,
there's.
I don't-
I'm not trying to be, sly or anything. I'm just trying to recognize that I think that
Yeah.
we all recognize that it makes sense. So what's a reasonable way to
Yeah.
get there?
And I don't think we have waivers and signage. And you're right. I mean, the first thing that pops into my mind are variances, but then there is some leeway with special use permits. So I just want to investigate that a little bit.
I would like to avoid ZBA as much as possible.
Well, you don't have a hardship,
Oh, right.
so
There you go.
I've never had a hardship.
go.
it's sort of
That could be
self-induced.
the answer right there.
So, I mean, if we can't do that, then we, approve it with the 35-foot side yard. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to have that developed as like that in other places either. But I understand Laura's point of, what if another project, it will make a difference. So
I understand. Okay.
that's all I have for now.
Okay, any questions or comments from the commission? Yes.
You know I always have questions.
course.
Okay, I'm reading our site conditions, and it says that you may have accessory buildings in this project, but according to our regulations, they have to be on the site plan, and I didn't see it.
There are none.
We're not
Okay,
proposing
that's,
any.
And our
so,
public offering statement for the community will not allow sheds, does not allow sheds.
okay, because,
Sorry. Sheds, decks, pools, no, none of that.
Zero.
okay, because we have an issue with another place that they were allowed to have sheds, but then they put multiple sheds, and then they decided to add on to their,
Sheds.
no, they added on to their houses. and-
Decks we're gonna have, not sheds.
No,
Are you talking about
no,
decks?
they added on to their house and they don't own the property. It's one of this, it's a very similar situation,
There'll be
so,
attached decks.
So-
Indoor
Okay.
patios, but no
And
sheds.
could someone
Okay.
potentially in the future say, I want to make my deck bigger?
They would have to meet the zoning right. First, they have to get approved by the association, and they have to pull a permit.
Yeah.
And get zoning,
well,
get a permit.
this has been going on for 20 years and they just keep doing what they do. So that's why I'm asking about the sheds.
Yeah.
And there was nothing on the site plan. Okay, there was another question. Oh, the trash pickup will be done probably by the town because we do trash pickup in all condos. So it's one of the things the town does for you. That I do know. So, okay, that's it.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Chris, you can go first.
Yeah, well, two things. One is as far as the side setbacks go. I mean, I say we just go with their proposal and just make it consistent with the regulations. I don't think we should have to bother about trying to make an exception for one application. I think the standardization makes sense. So I don't know if we want to try to get some sort of consensus to possibly save Lori the trouble of figuring out a way to wrangle our regulations. Just my 2 cents.
Okay,
But then for the applicant, this is kind of more out of curiosity. You know the market, so I find it pretty intriguing. So you're proposing 2,000, possibly 2,000, 2,300, possibly more with a loft square footage home, decent size. Certainly not like McMansions or anything, but decent size. What's your take on the market as far as senior developments? You find that like this is like that nice size point that folks are looking to? Like, do you see this as a downsizing, or
They're
do you see it as a-
downsizing. They, they're baby boomers. They have the money. And they're freeing up a house also, somewhere for a family.
And to be clear, I have no issue with it. I just want to know your take from
you
the
know,
from the
I
market
would-
side.
Sales are not an issue at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, you never know when that's gonna change.
But the market's demanding these
The market's demanding it,
decent
yeah.
sized houses for
If you get them too small, they're not looking for a 1,200 square foot apartment. You know, I mean, there is a market for that, but
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing here. But
yeah.
there's also a market.
So this is
for
more on the higher end.
More on the
you're-
higher
you're
end, yes.
getting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. No, appreciate that. But yeah, I have no issues, and kind of what they've proposed in terms of the option for the third car garage for some developments, and the option for a loft, the plus or minus building coverage. I mean, I'm on board with. I don't think they're asking anything crazy. It's all within the realm of our regulations and reasonability.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, that's all right, sorry.
Don't ever apologize to me. I just have a couple comments. One, you know, if we could figure out a way to do the two signs, like helpful for wayfinding, right? Like it just makes sense for wayfinding and safety purposes. And then also just wanted to state my support for the 3-car garage thing. Super helpful for folks who are having family over. You know, a lot of folks who are a little older try to host family gatherings, et cetera, at their house, so they don't have to go places. Just nicer, easier to not have people parking on the street. Also great hobby space. And then last, I know this is probably the last thing on everyone's mind, but I imagine we're doing shrubbery, trees, et cetera, along our busy streets to make things look nice. I would just request that those trees be small enough to not obstruct traffic should there be a storm and fall over. Professional hazard.
I can
Sorry.
attest, they are very nice, small trees.
Awesome.
And Eversource has already been down that road.
That's great.
Actually, on both of those roads. So, they're good.
So are the trees small, or are they?
Well, they're small when we plant them.
Yeah. They
But
might
they are
get
set,
rid
the existing trees are there. Anything that we're planting is set back,
Yeah.
where it there'll be no issue with power, should be no issue with power line, especially the berm area that's set back
Yeah.
30 feet, 40 feet, so.
Spectacular. Thank you.
Okay, Walter?
So back to the setbacks. Now, this plan here shows that the houses are turned, and so there could be a possibility you'll have those, or is that
Oh, yeah,
just?
this-
or-
that-
This
That's
is an
the-
older map.
That's just
the
an old
old
map.
line.
It's our only color
Okay,
map here.
so we're not building that, we're building this.
We shouldn't show that one.
Here's where
Yeah.
we're having a problem with that.
Yeah.
That setback.
That's what I'm saying.
And then one or two
Yeah.
houses here. Other than that, the development meets, we just really need that.
So we're building this, we're not building that.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Not
Just
building
want
the
to,
footprints.
just want to make it clear.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Joe?
Just a comment. You had concern about second floor space. If you're building a Cape is a 2-story building, so I don't see any issue there. I mean, if you wanted to make it more than a loft space, I think you're well within your right. You're building a Cape.
We just wanted to make sure that the staff had
Yeah, I
the
don't-
authority to say, okay, this is what was approved at the meeting.
Yeah.
We don't have to
I think
deal
your
with it.
constraints are just, your coverage of each lot. I mean, regardless if it's a Cape or 3-car garage or something, you have a maximum size you can put on there.
Right.
I don't think you have any problems with us or building as long as you're in that footprint. So I think it's a great thing and looks good.
Anyone else?
I have one more comment.
Okay.
Item F, actually, page 3, item F, that talks about the management plan. And the management plan shall be submitted along with the SRD site plan as a requirement of the special permit. So can you just talk to that? You said that you informed me that you were working on it and
So we
should
did
hope to
submit a
have something
draft,
soon.
public offering statement, which has the management plan in it for the previous zone, or the one that exists now. But we do mention SRD in there several times, because as you recall, we were trying to do a deed restriction, we won't go back there. So we don't have a lot to do to change it. Couple hours, I just need the approval letters for what we're trying to get approved, the stuff in there, for the final draft. But I
Okay.
certainly can have that to you, like I said in my email today, or early next week.
Yeah, I mean, just even a cross-out draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That
do
might-
better than that, because it's all right there for us to, it won't take long to change.
And the question, will you be putting in there that there will be no accessory structures on the property?
I will make sure it's in there.
Okay.
And could we put in no detached garages?
I mean, I'm not selling it that way. And our models become part of the public offering statement. All part of it and all part of the package, so it doesn't show that, but, you know, I can put that in there. I can do no detached garages and no accessory buildings.
A detached garage really is an accessory building when you.
Well,
Yeah, really.
But you know what?
We gotta
It
spell it out
is.
though, because
It
someone
is.
always
Yeah.
tries to.
Somebody always will have, oh, no, it's not.
I'm gonna put accessory building, I'll probably put the word shedding there also. We'll try to get rid of interpretation
Thank you.
best we can. Okay. Just, I had one question. I know a couple of you commented on the three-car garage, and the reason why I'm pushing, I have a couple people interested, and I'd love to go back to them after this evening and say the consensus was that the three-car garage was not an issue, because I am in the sales business, you know, and we're
I
trying
don't
to
have a
get rid
problem
of
with
it.
three
You
cars.
gotta have somewhere to put the boat.
No, no
Are
boats.
the-
no
are
boats.
the,
In the garage.
I did
That's
have,
what I
I
mean, you
did
need that
have,
extra bay.
I did have a
They got
question about
really
that.
old sports car that they want to take with them.
Are the
so.
bikes, you know, motorcycles? Come on.
Bikes, yeah. We did make our garages bigger here in the initial plans, 4 garbage pails and things of that nature. When we did Shaker Heights, I inherited some of those plans, and the garages, it was tough for some of the clients with 2 cars and the garage pails, and the garage pails and stuff like that, the garbage pails.
Okay, I just wanted to understand the need for the garage. You have an HOA, correct?
Yes.
So all the grounds will be taken care of,
Oh,
right?
yes, 100%.
So there's really no reason for someone to want a garage because they're going to put their lawnmower.
No,
on.
they-
It's going to be something else, right?
There's a
Yeah.
couple people that want to mow their lawn, and they do. It's kind of
Really?
for
Okay.
something to do.
Okay.
You know, or maybe they'll throw a little more fertilizer down than what the association's doing.
Okay, and, I mean, is there a demand for like a third car, or, you know,
You know what?
sports car or something?
Yeah, it's come up a couple times, and we were able to put a model together to not make it look like it was something that was just attached. And, you know, if we can accommodate that, you know, one thing that makes the project successful is to be able to be limber and able to move to how the market, you know, each family has its own requirements.
Yeah,
There's no 2 houses that are built the same, maybe on the outside, but on the inside, everyone's always changing walls, doorways, things of that nature.
oh, and thank you, Laura, for the comment about I didn't think of having guests at the house and needing the place for the car, especially with the snow.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I don't think do anybody have a problem with the third garage?
No, it looks great to me.
I mean, your
You like
pictorial,
cars.
your pictorial of the garage makes it really look like it's part of the house, so it's not really
Yes.
like it's, you know, it's going to look very similar, except it's an extra garage, you know?
Right.
Okay, where are the signs located? I missed that somewhere.
So we were gonna put one here,
Okay,
kind of like bookends, and one here on
Okay.
this side, because the sidewalk was here and there's not a lot of room.
okay,
Just kind of to, you know, the homes are really nice, you know, and this would just be another added thing for the development.
okay.
A nice sign. I think it deserves a sign.
Okay, so we might have to have a waiver or something for another sign, or do something?
This is what I have to look into. I mean,
Okay.
you know, a variance won't work. I don't think that the modification through special use permit would work, but I thought I would just check because I don't know everything.
Okay,
What I think is a proper solution is you do the one sign, and then when you do the other phase, by then hopefully we'll have modified our sign regulations to say 1 per entrance.
No, I was just thinking the same thing, that I wouldn't want to hold this whole process up because of a sign, and we could deal with that at another time and see what that looks like.
And I think that that would be a reasonable modification to our sign regulations. It makes sense to have 1 per entrance. But, you know, I think, you know, when they were written, probably back in the 70s, it's like nobody had more than 1 entrance to a development or something. I don't know. Just,
Especially if it's approved through a special permit process, the commission has complete discretion to be, to say, well, in this case, it's not appropriate, you know, so that you're not trapped into, you know, having to approve it when it's not, right?
which is the counter to them approving it through the special use permit. So So we'll figure it out. So maybe it's serendipitous that we have a little,
we have
an
time on
extra
that.
couple
Okay.
weeks.
We got 18 months or 12 months or something, so.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of begs the issue of the timing of the Phase 1 and Phase 2. You already started Phase 1.
I think it's possible we could start the roadway of Phase 2, depending on sales, this fall.
Okay.
But no later than February of, no later than a year from now.
Okay. So what, isn't your intent to complete all the houses in Phase 1 and then go to Phase 2?
No, there's 17 units. I think we targeted if we had 12 sold in Phase 1, then we would start Phase 2.
Okay. Okay.
Some people are waiting for Phase 2,
Yeah. Okay.
some clients.
Makes sense. Okay, the loft option, that's available for every configuration?
For every unit, yes.
Okay, and it's the same for every?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. Might be a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
but
Well, I noticed it
kind of
was
the
only one pictorial, so I just assumed it was,
same. It's a generic,
okay.
generic.
And you have full basements?
There are full basements.
Okay. Not under the deck, though, that's right.
Excuse me?
It's basically under the main part of the house?
The whole house, even the sunroom, if they do
Oh,
the
really?
sunroom option,
Wow,
or it's really,
okay.
a four-season room, that's also foundation underneath there.
Okay.
Very large, well, be 2,300 square feet of basement, it's a big basement.
Just the garage is a slab.
Just the garage is, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, the square foot flexibility, we're going to make up a chart or something to show the square foot flexibility? Or something like that?
So I'm not sure if we need to make up a chart. I wanted to have clarity as to what the thoughts were. We really can't require minimum anymore, but we can require maximum square footage, I believe.
Okay, so maybe a maximum and then
statutes.
maybe a description of the intent of the
Or just,
flexibility?
Can the maximum be an average maximum? So it gives them some flexibility to
Plus or
go over
minus?
on one and have one be under?
well, I mean, I think the maximum should be a maximum if you want to set a maximum. But
Well,
I thi- I think it
their
should be as
maximum
close
is
to.
set by how much property they can cover.
Right, they got
Yeah.
coverage.
So
and
you don't,
setbacks.
I
I mean,
don't
it's
see
gonna be
setting a
dictated
maximum
by
or
that.
minimum is gonna do any good. You have X amount of coverage you can do, period, that's it.
Right.
Agree.
Each lot is a different size, and you can, cover 20%, so that
Yeah.
would be based, that would be
I
their.
think by putting something in, unless Dana has some genius way of wording it.
Well, we're really not talking about much of a difference here.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
talking about, we can't go any wider, and we can only go so much deep. I'm not talking about doing a 4,000 square foot footprint. I'm talking about something that's maybe 3,100. Probably not much more than that.
You still have to stay in that 20% coverage, so.
I still have to stay in that
If you can get
coverage.
a 4,000-foot house on 20%, then,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll be
you're
discouraging
legal,
that,
right?
We can say no.
Yeah.
But I don't see that. Even when I did Shaker Heights, it was, hey, can you bump this bedroom out 1 foot or 2 feet? But I already did that in this new models I have. So I did just have one where they took a little section 2 feet by 29 feet. So that was 60 feet. Well, I have a little bit of flexibility based on what we have approved presently. So there's not a lot more you can do. We're really, if you wanted to set a maximum, you could.
Well, I'm only bringing it up because you asked for flexibility.
Yes.
You brought up the flexibility.
Yes.
Okay? And so, seems to me we could put in some generic wording or something that would just say that.
Create a
you
chart as we
have-
go along, because we put the square footage of every footprint, which includes the garage. Like, one of our most popular models is 2,460 square feet, the footprint. So that allows 500 square feet more someplace else. I don't see any one of these houses going to a footprint of 3,500 square feet. That's not, I tell people no. They show up, I say, no, you're buying in the wrong community.
Yeah.
I do say that to them. It's not for you. This is what it is. And I'm not looking to change my models that way. I'm talking
Sure.
about taking a nook and, like if you look like like at the garage there where it jets out to the side.
Yep.
I guess you have the same
Use your mic, the
Yeah, so-
mic.
oh, I'm sorry.
You're on TV. Come on, you're a movie star.
So right here, you see how this garage goes past here?
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity for someone to say, hey, Rob, can I make the house 2 feet wider to match up with the garage? And that might be 60 square feet. okay? Same thing here, I just had someone, where we're gonna, this is 3 feet, we're going 3 feet by 29 feet. That's 90 square feet. On that particular model, I had the flexibility to go to 3,000 square feet under the present zone. Those are the types of things we're talking about. So how do you quantify that?
My suggestion was just to, we could have a note on the plan that says that individual unit sizes may vary, but the total square footage of all units will not exceed 124,375 square feet. And then as we come in with each plot plan, we'll give you, what we're up to.
Yeah, I would suggest that the chart, as it starts, will be submitted with every building permit, and you'll have what the proposed house is with the
It'll be easy to do
building,
because we
with
give
the.
you one big plot plan every
Right,
time.
and then, so then you've got your proposed, and then the client says, oh, well, wait a second, since we're building it this way, we want to do this, so any modification would then be looked at and added to the chart, and then the final as-built. And
It's
just,
almost what we're doing now.
yeah, and then just the summary of the impervious surfaces and building
I think the
coverage.
note's a good idea, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have to meet all the coverages anyway.
Memorialize it, that there is some limit, there's not,
Yeah.
it's not,
Right.
And basically, we have a chart started already, Lori, on that one plan that we did.
Okay.
It really is, it's another step for Dana.
Okay.
He needs the work.
All set?
And then we talked about the setbacks, right? So we're all pretty good with the setbacks.
Thank you so much for considering this reapplication. We
No
really
problem.
appreciate it.
So does he have consensus on a 3-car garage too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
Make
good on
them-
3-car garage, we're good on,
Yep.
on charting this,
Yep.
and what about, and we're okay on the side yard
Yes.
overall?
Yeah?
Okay.
I make a motion to table, I forgot, what is it? PH 3144.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ken Helinski,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
Or
Linda DeGrace, 4, Joe Muley,
4.
Walter Curzel,
4.
Rob Anderson,
4.
Laura Anderson.
4.
Okay. See you next.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank
you
you
very
for
much.
your patience and understanding with this stuff. So, the 12th.
Okay, moving on,
We have one more.
we will, yeah, we're not doing that one today.
We're not opening that?
Yeah, we're not opening that one.
We're
right?
not opening,
The First Avenue,
Okay, I have a comment on that, and maybe, I think I told you about this.
Yep.
So, we received the First Avenue PH 3145 at the last meeting, and subsequently, I found out that we had no fee and no plans. So I actually am going to request that we unreceive this, and it will just be on hold. And I've been in contact with the applicant, saying, you got to do this stuff, otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So, unfortunately, the applicant's representative, who is a family member, lives in California. So it's just,
Oh, okay.
so there's just some confusion, I think, amongst the family. So, so I'd like to unreceive that. It will just be on hold. We'll keep the number and everything, because this is in response to a DEP issue at First Avenue and the culvert going underneath the highway. So something will happen with it.
okay, so that's something you can just do administratively. right?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that,
Okay.
so it's going to be taken off of the agendas, because it's not going to be pending anymore.
Okay. Old business?
So, yeah, and just so you know, flood permit, we received it, they did pay, but they are still missing a couple things, so hopefully we'll have that at the next meeting.
Okay. I don't think we have any old business.
No?
New business, we have the flood, number 48, 83 First Avenue, and I believe you have an issue with that as well.
Yeah, that's the same, that's what I
Same
was
thing.
just talking about.
Okay,
Flood.
same thing.
The flood permit, flood FLD number 48? Is that what? Okay, I'm sorry, where are we right now?
I'm on the flood number
Okay,
48.
okay, that's the one that I
12A,
said
yeah.
that it's not going to be heard tonight because it's incomplete.
Yeah, that's kind of combined with,
Yeah, it is, but it's a different
Attached to the other one,
application.
I
They
can't get
actually
to the other
did
one. Okay.
supply
Just
us
wanted to
with
make
some
sure we
information, but not
specifically-
enough, and they did pay for the
Okay.
fee, so. So hopefully that'll be heard on the 12th.
okay, item 13, other business? None, I don't think. 14, commissioners' correspondence? Anything? 15, director of planning report?
Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies. The meeting is on March 26th. We need to know by tomorrow at 5 if you want to attend. So far, I have Linda, Walter, and John. That's it. So if anybody wants to attend, it's a fun event. You get 1 credit towards your training. Woohoo! They are going to be discussing the new housing bill and the big dinner and whatever beverages you care to have. So please, if you know right now, let me know. Otherwise, if you know you're not coming, let me know so I won't be waiting.
Yeah, I already declined via email. Yeah, I declined via email.
Okay, so no, just so I have it here. So no Ken.
It's a very popular evening, so.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, they serve good food. I mean, it's buffet style for the table, and they have beverages of all kinds, and it's a good training session.
Yeah,
So
I won't be there.
Yeah,
you will not be there.
yeah, same here. Don't wait up for me.
Oh.
I would have RSVP'd no earlier. I thought it was just a RSVP yes kind of.
Well, I'm just this way. I know not to wait
Makes
for it
sense.
Right.
because
Right.
we've got to do the PO. So and no, Rob. Walter, you signed up? You gonna tell us later? I'll let you know tomorrow. Okay, cool. All right, thank you very much for that. You have before you this evening the final bylaws with the final date, so you could have that. And that's all I have for now. Oh, we are doing interviews for assistant planner on Monday,
Oh, good.
so we'll, lots of fingers crossed.
Okay, that's it? Okay, 16, authorization for administrative approvals. I don't think we have any of those tonight.
Nope.
Okay, 17, applications to be received.
Excuse me. SPR 1963, 7 Taylor Road, application for a change of use to veterinary office under section 5.20. Selective Development Companies, LLC applicant. Skidco Professional Realty owner, map 113, lot 347 in the BL zone. And PH 3146, 5 Harris Street, application for a special use permit to allow a duplex, Jose Cabrera, applicant Maria G. Ramon Sebastian, owner, map 23, lot 14, R33 zone. This is the one that we had the issue with the language barrier and some new plans and stuff, so hopefully we'll be able to get through this.
Is he going to bring in an interpreter?
I have not had a chance to even speak with him yet.
Okay.
So
No, I mean, it'd be
I'm
his benefit.
hoping, I'm going to stress that it would be very helpful. So, but otherwise, we're going to do back and forth with the computer. So,
Yeah.
translation app.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Lori, so just because we've unreceived the other 83 First Avenue public hearing one, there's no chance for that to be in our next meeting. So the expectation at this point is the applicant is going to have to come to 2 separate meetings for the flood permit and for the special permit. So
Theoretically,
do we have any flexibility if they want to show up for 2, we'll be here either way. But
Yeah.
I think, especially because they go hand in hand, it makes sense to me if the applicant only has to come up here once Obviously, they're two different applications. We'll vote
Yeah, quite honestly, I don't see them getting the plans very readily for 3145.
So it might go
So, I
out
mean,
a bit
we're
further.
looking at excavation,
Yeah.
and he has no plans. He doesn't have a PE at this point.
Oh, well.
Wow.
So, which is why I'm just gonna take it off.
Then,
I'll leave it on hold. I mean, if you want, the only thing I could think of is, we could have him withdraw the flood permit, or ask for a withdrawal without prejudice and waive the fee for next time.
He doesn't have to close the flood until June, so he
I
does
know,
have some time.
but I know how long
I
engineering
know,
plans are.
but
I'll give him the option if you want,
He-
or.
We can cross our fingers and hope.
I mean, I think, I mean, if they want to take the, I mean, I think it's their prerogative. I mean, I think we all
I'm
want to
gonna be in conversations with them quite a bit, so.
I trust your judgment. I mean, it sounds like it may just be easier to just deal with the flood permit next meeting and just,
Yeah, probably.
let's just do that.
You know what? We'll get it over.
It's true.
Well,
That's
it'll be
that's the
done.
way.
And that'll be one thing off of their checklist.
True. It'll make us all feel good. We're agile.
Yes.
Okay, opportunities, unresolved issues. Nothing? Executive session, none? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.